Hello and welcome to another webinar session. Thank you for taking the time to join this webinar. Today's webinar is all about Industry 4.0 transformation from strategy to realization. My name is Sansia and I'm part of the marketing team at Factana. For those of you all who are joining us for the first time, let me give you a quick brief about Factana. And for those of you all who've been part of our previous webinars, thank you so much for joining us today and we're glad to have you here. As an Industry 4.0 solution provider, Factana has been supporting various small, medium, and large enterprises to adopt Industry 4.0 and embark on a digital transformation journey. We're actually a global company with operations in India, Europe, and the USA. A quick brief on our product suites. Fogging IoT is our Industry 4.0 platform offering digital solution for IoT device management, asset performance management, and smart manufacturing. Fogging Asset Plus is our exclusive industrial asset condition monitoring solution to enhance production efficiency, predict and prevent machine failures. SFactrix AI is our smart manufacturing execution software for digitizing shop floor operations to ensure operational efficiency, quality compliances, and maximize ROI. So let's get started with the webinar. Mr. Hariharan Ganesh, who is the founder and chief architect of Factana, will present this webinar. Before we start this webinar, I have a quick note for all of you all. If you do have any questions, please shoot them using the chat option, and the questions will be answered towards the end of this webinar. So without further delay, over to you, Hari.
Thank you, Sansia. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're watching from. And we will have this webinar also available in the YouTube later. If you have missed out or you want to refer at a later point, you can check our YouTube channel on the previous webinars as well as this webinar recordings. So today we are going to talk about Industry 4.0 transformation from strategy to realization. We picked up this topic because as we have been talking to many SMEs and large enterprises, and the most common question that we have been asked by many of the manufacturers or other industries is about how to start and where to start. How do we approach this? As they have here a lot of talks about and hype about Industry 4.0 transformation, and of course every continent, every country, and top management, governance, enforcing to innovate and create a new business opportunity in their own countries. Industry 4.0 is become a top of the topic in everywhere across the global. But there are a lot of content available online. There are a lot of instructions is there, but there are a lot of confusion also is there. Where and where to start and what it is and how to achieve this and what is the value out of this. So that's a whole intention behind this session, and I hope we have some key information for you to understand how we approach as expert in this space, how we approach the transformation journey. So before we talk about the strategy and all, just to bring a common understanding on what is Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 is the fourth industrial revolution. It's a revolution on taking the organization into the next level of operational excellence and business benefits. But the core concept of this is driven from the third revolution, which is more on the automation and data collection part of that, to the cyber physical system integration. So it's more of leveraging the digital technologies and power of internet to take the organization to the next level where it can get connected with the global ecosystem of supply as well as customers. So the key thing from the Gartner's note itself as a reference point, so the combining the data itself is a primary scope or goal of Industry 4.0. So moving from silo of organization from each department to bring all the data together and create a cross-functional operational processes to improve the decision making. As part of that, obviously we have to connect with the missions. It's not just the people inputs, it's mission inputs. The missions are assets in the business are critically input to the professional to understand where and how we perform and avoid the human errors. At the same time, take the data and consolidating it together with the business transactions, business informations to come up with the decision making points. So this involve in innovating new approach, innovating process, innovating new product, or innovating new methodology or operational model to run the business setup exclusively for manufacturing setup. And also it's technology centric, so needs to be need a change in the organization to make people to understand it, and that's a very key critical point on the journey of transformation. So that's a core idea behind that industry 4.0 transformation. The value, we are going to talk about that, why we should do that, and what is the value that's going to be that's expected to come out of this transformation. But of course, there is no one value that come out, like one value that everybody will get it. It's more depends on the organization and current level of maturity and processes followed by the industrial operations. So one of the critical questions to us by many different conversations about, you guys are doing industry 4.0, that means you guys are providing IoT, you guys are providing, do you provide a technology for AI, do you provide robotics, do you guys do robotics, do you guys do digital twins, like more on technical questions rather than the transformational questions, because there are a lot of content out there talks about industry 4.0 in technical aspect, more like it's a technology, you need to go for IoT, you need to go for digital twin, you need to go for AI, but that's completely misleading many of them to think that it's only technology drive. So even the top management thinks that, it's only technology, what is that I'm going to get out of this? So it's not about that. So the actuality is a transformation. When you coming to the transformation, the three key, the pillars are the core part of that transformation. The people has to elevate the people in the sense the organizational people to improve their ability to take the organization to the next level. The process has to be improved. The technology that supports to help the people and process to improve it. So the technology and people process all combined together has to be evolve into the next level, so that the organization is fully capable of adopting the technology and leveraging the technology to transform the business into the next level. So when coming to the industry 4, when we are approaching industry 4.0, we don't approach just from the technology standpoint. Of course, technology is the foundation. The advancement of technology is going to help us to accelerate the transformation or improve the business efficiency. But that also involves, there are other aspects of that. The key point here is the people, and from the people standpoint, the skill development is one of the critical piece of the success of the industry 4.0, because from the operator to the top management has to have a clear understanding of what is this means, what is digitalization means, what kind of a process improvements or process changes has to come, and how we can adapt those process changes, how we can we can train the people to adapt the technology is very, very important piece. If the people on the shop floor not accepting it or not following it properly, obviously the investment of technology will go waste, because people may not follow that properly. At the same time, the process standpoint, the most significant important point from the process standpoint, the management involvement. The management involvement is very, very critical, because if the top management is not getting involved in this process, then obviously the bottom line workforce will not see that as a serious transformation. So they don't just follow that. So then the top management, the governance, and the digital processes, the improved digital processes is important for changing the transformation or accepting the transformation to the core. So it's not about technology, it's about people, process, and the technology. So obviously technology is available in the market, can be quickly adapted and build versus buy, but the people and process are critical aspect to be considered while we are talking about industry 4.0. So where this journey, this transformation is going to take us to. So that's that's more of what is ultimate point that we are going to reach in. Why this is important today's modern today's organization transformation. So that's where the maturity comes into picture. So when you're talking about industry 4.0 and we are going to transform, there is a lot of talk about industry 4.0. How do we transform, and where do we go there? What is that we should do that? I don't see any need of changing my existing manufacturing setup or process. I don't see any need of that. Yeah, of course, you may not see the need of that in the current day because you are operating with a limited visibility and scope that you have, but it's going to take you to the next level. So that means there are certain steps that needs to be followed. I mean, that level to reach out to the one. The ultimate goal is to create a autonomous automation process. The industry 3.0 is all about automating by connecting to the machine and then automating it, sensing that information and automating the processes. That's more on the localized automation. But coming to the industry 4.0, with the help of cyber physical connectivity, take the organization to the ultimate automation, autonomous automation, which means that the intelligence is within the organization, within the system and process that drives the organization towards automation, towards automating the processes or productivity improvement, other things. To go to that stage, there are steps needs to be followed, and that's where the level of maturity comes into picture. So it's not just a connectivity, but if the organization is not even connected to the global world, localized connectivity is there, but no global connectivity, which is obviously the internet connectivity and connecting to that to the global network, then connectivity is the starting point of that. If it does not exist, that's where IoT comes into picture. Many of the industry 4.0 talks are about the IoT because that's the first step on the transformation journey. The second most important step is on the visibility. So the value of that is the visibility, the connecting to the missions, connecting to the people, connecting to the processes, drives the data to consolidate the data, and that's creating the visibility in the organization level, and what is happening in my missions, what is happening in my people, how people are operating, and what is happening in my process. So all the visibility is coming into picture. So visibility not just enough, then going, once we have visibility, that may not be enough to, oh yeah, it's happening, but how do we change it? So then we need to go to the transparency in terms of how we can understand the lagness in the system, understand where it's defective or the process defectness or process slowness, and then creating that transparency to all the stakeholders in the organization. That's the third step or third level of maturity. Once the transparency is created, then obviously the system can be intelligent enough to understand what could happen. So because what is happening, if you study and understand what happened, then probably what could happen can be predicted. And that's when the fourth stage of the maturity. Once the predictability is happening, then it's obviously the action is kind of training, right? It's more of action. If this happened, then do this. If that happened, do that. So that kind of instructions needs to be fed back into the system, process, and people combined together, and then create the adaptability in terms of change, the change acceptance, and change in a different situation, how to handle the situation. So that's where the autonomous automation comes into picture, rather than the standard automation which is being deployed on the industry 3.0 to the autonomous automation is the ultimate goal and vision of the industry 4.2 transformation. So taking the organization from the stage where they are in, maybe the localized automation with the help of automation processes and tools, take them to the autonomous automation with a step-by-step approach is how the maturity level is reached by the organization. So when the organization is powered to accept the changes and predict that what could happen in the next, and then acting on that leads the organization to the lower failure and higher efficiency and higher value out of the organization, and that drive the business to grow faster. So it's not just the operational improvement, it is more of the value driving to the business and how business can realize the grow faster, increase their revenue profitability, and also lower the internal organizational failures and other things, process failures and other things. So that's how the maturity model is defined. So the goal is to drive this to the maturity model and how we are going to drive this. And that's what we call it as a strategy to us. Why it's a revolution? Why is it revolution? Because revolution means changing ourselves to the next level. So that means whatever the legacy that we have built over the years, we have to leave that behind. We have to drop that and change ourselves to adapt to the newer environment and go about that. So leaving the legacy behind and then going to the new age of people, technology, and process is the critical for getting into the world of global digital economy. That means we need to spread our skins. Even it may be a legacy, it may be 30 years, 40 years we have been following these processes, and why should I leave that? Yeah, obviously if you want to become a shark, then you have to leave your skin, and you have to grow yourself to the next level. And that's why it is more of revolution. So the revolution is on transforming ourselves into the new environment and adapting the new environment and being a king on that environment, being the shark on the environment. And that's very important. That's why it is a revolution. So the point here is, so don't carry forward all your legacy thought process and operational processes to the digital world, and it's not going to work as it is, and you may be lagging on that. It may lead into a failure. So you need to start accepting that reality, and you accept and you shred your skin, and then move into the next level. But obviously the most common question, it's very difficult for us to accept it. We have been following whatever we have missions, we have invested multi-billion dollars in missions, we invested multi-billion dollars in people, and we built this over the 30 years, 40 years. How can we change it, right? It's a challenge, biggest challenge. So similar to that, there are a lot of other hidden challenges behind the transformation journey. The most common that everybody visible is on terms of the legacy systems, means legacy system, legacy process. The missions, the older missions may not capable of connecting to the cyber system. The older process may not be ready to accept the cyber system. That's the most commonly visible. But a lot of hidden, undefined or underlying problems that needs to be solved along with this journey, and that's the critical part to understand and guide that. So I'll go from the bottom to top. The most important, most critical part is the leadership commitment. As I talked about in the previous pages, leadership commitment is very, very critical for people to understand and accept it. So top management involvement is very, very critical, and they have to come and commit themselves that, yes, I have to do the changes, and let's go for the changes. And that's when the people driven to adopt the changes. Then people has to be driven, then they have to have there should be some coordinated effort on that. So that should be a program management in place. It's not about something is, you go and connect to the mission, that's it, we are done with that. It's not about that. It's a program. It's a continuous improvement program, and that continuous improvement, however, has to be led by somebody to create a strategy and follow the strategy over the period until it's realized the maturity level 5. So the organization should move from the industry 3.0 to the 4. Then they have to go for the program to transform it. As part of the program acceptance, there needs to be a talent in place. Means the existing operational improvement, existing people has to adapt it, newer talent people has to be adapted, injected into the organization. So they both work together and share the knowledge and start understanding the digital aspect of the process and then transforming it. The fourth one is a change management, the acceptance, leaving the legacy behind and move forward with the change and accepting the new process, the new way of working with the help of systems, not like just a manual job cards and that taking the job card and filling the forms and writing papers. It's these kind of traditional approach has to be dropped and then move into the digital aspect of that and capturing the information. That's when the information can be transferred to the common consolidated place to identify the integrated view of the organization. Obviously, the topmost is the challenge with the missions, integration challenges with the missions, and that can be solved with the help of technology experts like us. But organization has to be ready to accept all other transformation changes within the organization to overcome these challenges. If any one of them is not very well planned and executed, there may be a possibility of the value may not be that great, because the organization still lacks the principles and challenges that it's carried forward to the next level as well. So 4 most common questions asked to us wherever we spoke. 4 major questions. First question is where to start. Oh, okay. So yeah, I understand there is some value in the Industry 4.0 transformation. Industry 4.0, everybody's talking about that. So in my organization, where can I start it? What should I do now? What should I do first? Or what is that I should get ready for this change? So then second question is where to focus on. Should I focus on my my production environment? Should I focus on my supply chain, or should I focus on my people management? Should I focus on my tool management, or should I focus on my quality? Where is that I should focus on, or what is it I should focus on, or how I can drive this transformation with the clearly defined value out of that. Then the one that people, once they understand that, the next question is how to accelerate or achieve it. How to achieve it? How can I do this faster? How can I do that faster? Because we don't have time to wait for 2-3 years of transformation. We don't have wait for 10 years of transformation. So we need change faster. So the acceleration, how we accelerate it, and then how we achieve it, and what is that maturity we should achieve, target it to achieve it, and what is the value out of that. So for all of the questions that been asked to us, and most commonly asked by industrialists to the people who talks about Industry 4.0, but there is no one formula or one answer for all of that. It depends on the organization and its maturity level, current maturity level. So there is no one answer for this, and each and every organization, the preparation may change, the focus may different, the acceleration timeline may different, and the maturity that they can reach can vary. So it's depends upon the organization. It depends upon the current state of the organization, and definitely there is no one answer for all of that. But still, we try to answer it. Some of the common questions asked to us. So first question is on where to start, right? And what is that we should do that. So it's a maze, if you look at that, you in your current process, in your current organization's approach, if you don't know, you understand that that this is a journey, but you may not know where to start it. There are many different ways to start it. As I said, different companies, different organizations need a different approach to start it. But some of the most common things that, take a note on some of the common things that can be done and that can apply to most of the organization to start with as assessment. So definitely, if you want to go to some destination, you need to know where you are standing right now. Then only you can go to the destination. So obviously, assessing yourself on where I am standing, what is my current capacity, what is my current process, what is my current system capability, technology capability, that is very, very important. So assessment is very, very important. Start self-assessment or call for expert to come and assess like us. So we can come and study the organization, talk to the people. We have the process that we follow to understand the organization current capabilities, to define and what they have to do to go to the next level. So, and also make sure that it's not like hype of Industry 4.0, then I will go that. You need to have some kind of a goal on that. Where do you wanted to go that? What is that you wanted to see that? What is your organization goal? What is that you want to achieve in 5 years, 10 years down the line? So that the current state versus destination is clearly defined. Then only you can create the path towards that. To take a step on that, do some pilot project. Don't look for, I wanted to build this system, or I wanted to go for larger implementation with the big players, and then you burn yourself. So don't go for big bang approach. Go for the pilot approach first. In the pilot approach, go with the company who can help you on the pilot phase to identify that. The pilot phase is very critical for you to self-study or self-understand what is your challenges when you are trying to transform it. Sometimes it may not give a clarity in the beginning, but when you do the pilot, you may learn a lot more things about your operational challenges. Then bring the leadership into the agreement in the day one itself. It's about educating people and making them to agree on that. So bring a common agreement with all the vendors, workers, and leaders to ready for the change, ready for the transformation, and start executing the initial steps on that. So next, what is the focus on that? So there are a lot of points to discuss in this particular aspect of that. But taking as a common principle, there are three the segments that we have looked at: the people, the process, the current process, and the technology. Just current process standpoint in terms of defining goal and current state, future state, what needs to be done, how should be going, and what is the governance process in place. So all of them needs to be clearly identified, and then give effort to clearly measure it, define it, and monitor the aspect. And then take a people, build a skill development, not just a technology change. As I talked about initially, it's not just a technology change. It's about how do we drive the people to the maturity. So it's about how do we educate our internal people to accept this new process and procedures in the digital way. It definitely helps them in terms of work effort, reducing their work effort, but at the same time they have to ready for the change. So to educating them is very, very critical. So skill development, leadership commitment, auditing process, in terms of the process. While doing this, how do we audit it ourselves to check our status on that? What are we doing the right way? Are we doing the right way? So it's like, you're going through the GPS, you are starting one place and you are going to your destination. On the way, you may have left and right turns, and you need to be ready to check your condition, whether you have to take a left or right, and how do you go there. So this is about auditing yourself to cross check whether you are on the right direction. And most important is having an adequate funding upfront. Means you may not need all the fund upfront in day one, but to execute the pilot, you need a proper funding. You execute the subsequent strategy, and to the maturity, you need a proper funding, and you need to make sure that the proper funding is aligned. So don't come up with a smaller funding that going to help you not even complete the pilot project, or may complete the pilot project, but you cannot do anything after that because you don't have funding. That means your pilot project itself will go waste, because nobody will, after you are losing it, nobody will lose it. So the funding allocations is very, very important. At least adequate funding reservations is critical to take it to all the way to the maturity. It's a transformation. It's not a project. It's a transformation. So it takes time to reach the maturity, and until the maturity reaches, the continuous investment, continuous funding is enough for the organization to take to that well, and promote the value to the people, in terms of investing, and obviously what is the value out of that. We need to constantly promoting it internal organization itself, with the top management, with the bottom workforces, to understand the value of this. Obviously the technology is going to accelerate. It's going to help us to achieve this transformation. The most common, the IoT connectivity, obviously it's going to help us to connect to the missions, get the performance, get the insights. AI solutions going to help us to find the intelligence out of that, and create a autonomous data driven automation models, and help the people to adapt the digital execution aspect of it. So focus on all the key points. These are all not like one footprint that we should follow all of that. It's just a sample, and it needs to be aligned as per the organization need and goal and vision, and how long this journey has to be there. So all of them is part of the strategy itself. Then, so we talked about strategy, right? So how do we adapt or achieve it? So pilot is one phase. That's initially kick off and doing the pilot. Yes, we have done the pilot, we see some value, but we wanted to know what is it we are going to do further on this, right? So have a comprehensive strategy from the beginning, even before your pilot, and have a cross check on that. So have a comprehensive strategy in place till you reach the maturity. Means what are the different stages, steps you need to follow to reach the maturity, as we have seen the steps defined in the maturity model, by creating visibility, transparency, and predictability, then going to the autonomous stage. So each stage, how do we prepare the strategy, and how do we go about that? and constantly work on that. Don't start the pilot project and drop it for 6 months to 8 months time and then go for the next phase. So it's a continuous effort, continuous improvement. It's a continuous rollout. So it's constantly, you need to keep on moving your steps. You cannot drop it, because the moment you drop it at some phase, at some stage, then obviously the interest level will go down. Obviously, when the interest is going down, people will stop dropping, following the new process, and they go back to the traditional process, and all the effort that we put so far will go waste, because people will go for the tradition back. So we should not stop in between. Means we should have a constant plan, and that is part of the strategy itself, and how we constantly moving this forward. It doesn't mean that you need to have a lot of funding to do that work. It means that you need to have a continuous, even simple, slow step itself is enough, but you need to have a constant noise on the floor to carry forward this. As and when you are reaching that, the value of that, it's once you're stating the value, then you need to start accelerating faster, so that you don't need to slow down the organization to adapt this. Obviously, the faster you are adapting it, the better. You are in the leader in the market space, in your market space, so you have to go into that in a faster pace. Once you have a proven process and repetitiveness is there, then you just start going, accelerating it. Doesn't matter how far you are going. The constant monitoring is very important for the value creations. A continuous monitoring doesn't mean that you are reaching the level 5 maturity of the process. Still, you need to have a constant monitoring to see whether you are sustaining that level, or you have any drawback in going back to the legacy world. So what is output of that, right? So we saw that, where to start and how to accelerate and how to drive it, and what is the value out of that, right? So what is it? Okay, yeah, I have done that. So what is that? What I want to do that, but what is the value out of that, right? The transformation is going to take it in multiple pillars. This is just a sample creations, value creations. These value creations will change from organization to organization. The goal change, the approach change, but you may have a pillars of targeting. Like you need to focus on digital connectivity. Let's take this example. This organization, we are going to focus on digital connectivity. That's the most common to all the organization. Measuring the performance of the missions to understand where we are standing today. What is my productivity? What is my current state of efficiency? So measuring the performance of the current mission and process and people performance is very critical. And then making them to adopt the digital approach means moving from the traditional job cards, writing in a shift sheets, or creating a quality measurement rejections sheets. So moving from manual paper based tracking methodology or ledger based tracking methodology to the digital methodology, where people feed the data, system feed the data quickly, and that also get their work orders, jobs delivered to them quickly, faster, to create a visibility in the organization, because visibility is one of the first step that we need to achieve, right? So to create a visibility, we need to operationalize not just connect to the missions, but also to take it to the system and process level as well, to adapt the digital inputs. So all the data, the process input, the system input, people's performance are all captured and then analyzed to arrive the value out of that. So digitalizing the operation execution is critical step in the journey. Then automating quality inspections, quality process, in terms of how the quality can be measured compared to the manual approach. How do we speed up the quality measurement? Because machines can make faster, the quality checks might slow down. In many organizations that we have seen that machine production is faster, but the quality checks are always slower, because obviously they have to meet the quality controls. They have to check all the quality controls, but at the same time, it is taking time consuming time consuming. That is where most of the processes are slowing down. So to automating the quality inspection is one of the good initiative in the organization as part of the journey. Then making sure that the materials and the supply chain, distribution is happening faster. It's not just a productivity improvement, it is also the inbound and outbound material and supplies streamlined with that. So having a complete visibility in that is very, very critical. So when you're driving all this, the improvement areas, the value of that is different level. So by driving the connectivity, measuring performance, you have visibility in terms of the mission performance. You have ability to reduce the downtime by predicting the what is going to happen and how the maintenance can be done. What is the right time to do the maintenance rather than stopping that in the middle of the day, stopping the production in the middle of the day and running a maintenance work. And what is that, how do we increase the overall output of the machines? So that's a value that's driven by this approach. And the productivity improvement in terms of the quality of the product output, the machine production time, the reduced cycle time, improved OEE performance has been measured, monitored, and improved. I adjust the process to understand how the scheduling has been done and how we can schedule the work jobs so that the jobs can be achieved faster, and also the machine's availability to make the job execution faster. And that's create a way to autonomously manage the productivity, and that leads into higher customer satisfaction. In terms of the quality standards, operational digitalizing the quality standard with the help of advanced technologies that helps to improve the speed up the quality process, that result in better visibility, because of manual quality checks may not be as accurate as the systematic approach. So increasing higher production quality. Obviously, by doing all of that, the workforce is well-trained operators, well-trained workforce, they happy employees, because they have their workload is reduced. They are able to produce more products. They are able to meet the goals on day-to-day goals. They are make the better job executions. So the work efficiency is increasing. All of them resulting in the financial improvement in the organization in terms of the lower operational cost, because all the machine maintenance is reduced, and then higher productivity that result in lower operational cost, higher ROI, and then the number of wastage reduction is reduced because of the quality control and process improvement, and resulted in a better organizational performance. So all of them drives the transformation. So it's a technology that adds a value, the process that adds a value, the people that contribute to the improvement, and holistically the values. And of course, all these values that we have listed here might change as and when the organization is going to the different level of maturity. And obviously, in the beginning may not all of them possible day one or day when you have reached the maturity level of visibility. It's a overall maturity, and it also depends on the organization, scope and goal and what they wanted to achieve in as part of their journey. So our approach, how do we approach this? So when we are going to the organization, and how do we approach the transformation journey? So based on the maturity model, based on the changes that we have, value creation approach that we have identified. So we have created our methodology. The methodology is to take the journey from the definition to the realization. So the definition is all about creating a proper strategy, as we have seen that understanding what is the goal, assess the current state, educate the people, and create a project governance, create a program governance, not a project governance, program governance, so that the whole initiative is being constantly driven as a constant improvement process. As a first step is prepare for step one, to prepare for gap analysis, finding how we create a strategy, and plan for the pilot projects, set of pilot projects to validate different phases of that, and creating a project committee that start driving it, and that will lead into the piloting phase of the project or the program. The piloting phase, we start with, as we looked at in the maturity model, the 5 stages: connect, collect the data, and consolidate, analyze the data, identify the opportunity of prediction, identify that opportunity or predictions, and then train the system and people and process to improve on that. So that's a piloting phase. If you take a piloting phase, it's not just about connecting to something and then done. That's not piloting phase. The piloting phase should be the value creation phase. It should validate, if I do that, what is the value that coming out of that? That is the end of the pilot phase. So only when you are seeing that duration of improvement, in either it's a shorter duration or it's a period of time that you are doing a pilot project, doesn't matter. But as long as you are seeing the value, then your pilot is completing, then you are going to the full realization phase. When you go to the full realization phase, you go for the little bit rollout approach. You go on a step-by-step incremental rollout approach. It's kind of repetitiveness, right? So once you prove the pilot, you are going to repeat that in every department or every cross-functional areas to as per your process and models, and you can improve that in a phases. So roll out the plan, go phase by phase, continuously train the operators to educate them, and constantly monitor it, so that you know that what step you are doing, are you doing right or left, right? That's the direction that we are going in. Constantly check your steps and see where is that gap. Even after pilot phase, there are a lot of possibilities of getting the gaps in terms of understanding because of the initial misunderstanding in terms of the process. So maybe there may be some gaps identified after the realization, then improve that, take that and then go to the next level. Not just stop the realization. Oh, I have done it, I'm seeing that, okay, I'm seeing my productivity, I'm seeing my metrics, I have a dashboard, everything is good. Oh, what is next? That's not the case. You need to continuously manage that, identify the way to improve your processes, innovate the way to improve your processes. And that's a fifth step. Then constantly optimizing the business model. So aligning the business model, upgrade it, and then upgrade again, align it, upgrade, and then optimize it again, upgrade and optimize it again. It's a continuous loop on that cycle to improve your system, overall system performance. So it's a journey. You need to go from the definition to realization, to the maturity, optimization maturity, and you need to continuously cycling it until you reach the point where you are transforming every aspect of your organization. So it's not a transformation of digital transformation or industrial transformation. It's not about one particular production line or process line. It's about the organizational transformation. So you need to constantly improve it in every aspect of that. And again, it's a sample roadmap that we have put together based on our methodology, and goals. The strategy has to be prepared for a longer period, probably a year period and 2-year period. The best value is if you plan for a year and then go to learn from the previous year and then go to the next step in the next year. So prepare your strategy, prepare your roadmap in terms of the timeline and what needs to be done. Go constantly from the assessment to realization and upgrade and alignments. And then get ready for adjustment in terms of the internal changes that needs to be done over the period in this transformation. Make sure that everybody get involved, everybody have complete visibility. This is a longer journey. This is not a shorter project. And make sure that you are ready to update your traditional procedures to the newer level. And that's 4 critical pieces as part of the strategy that we need to make sure that it's part of our roadmap itself. In terms of this, how do you, okay, it's all good, but is it such a long process? Is it how quickly I can go for that? Should I go for software or should I go for technology that already available, or should I go for buying and implementing it? Can I go for a big approach to SAP or somebody else to start doing it end to end of that, or should I go for the smaller the SaaS applications? Should I build ourselves to build everything? So all these questions will come out because these are all going to drive that how fast you are going to see the value out of this. So our recommendation, our approach would be tower approach. Means you go step by step, build your tower over the period. So means that you start with the technology. Of course, you go for what is immediately available, the off-the-shelf products such as SaaS software solutions, and connect it to the missions, measure the value, and identify that improvement areas, and go for automation. And then again repeat the process, look for the solution, the pre-built solution. Instead of building a solution, look for buy solutions, and take a small footprint and adapt it and go to the next step. So that way you can start quickly. You don't need a longer cycle to implement it or adapting the technology. You need a shorter time to do that. So you can do it faster with a lower ROI, with a lower investment, And at the same time, you can increment it in a step-by-step approach as how the tower building is happening. The same way you can improve your organization to the next level. So as we talked about, we are a industry 4.0 solution provider, and obviously we have our industrial cloud, where we offer such of solutions that are a combination of technology, process, and the people involvement. So we build our solutions in that aspect of that, not just a technology solution. So it's industrial cloud where we have a software for connectivity to the machines, to connect to the machines. We have the software and the process to measure the performance of the asset machines, and to drive the transformation, to train the people into digital process. We have the MEA solution, which helps to apply the digital process within the organization from the execution standpoint, and autonomously inspect the quality checks to improve the quality control of the system, which is the most common across our organization. The quality inspection is the time consuming process, and with the growing quality requirements, this must be autonomous, and we have a created solution to address that issue as well. So as an organization, we are continuously increasing our portfolio to meet a different need. But these are the footprints, that pre-built footprints that are already available for customers to take it up and start with. Our current key products, Fogging IoT, industrial IoT platform. Obviously, it's an industrial connectivity platform to connect to the machines, collect the data, and visually see the data and what is happening in the machine level. It's just a data visualization and device management solution. That's the first step. Obviously, our product line also in line with our strategy in terms of how we approach it. We go for connectivity first, and then we measure the performance of the machines. Then we go for the executional operational digitalization, or operation monitoring and digitalization aspect of that. And finally, quality inspection as part of the overall solution. So Asset Plus is our monitoring, health and performance monitoring and maintenance management. So obviously that's the next step towards the journey. Then going into the MEA system as a third stage on that. That's how we help the customer. So customer need not go for everything in day one. They can go for step one, then go to step two, then go to step three, as they incrementally upgrade their software need and technology need with the help of us. And obviously our process also involved with all the transformation, our methodologies to help to align this adoption of this technology, integrated technology into that. With that, I would like to conclude, and I hope this session is useful and informative. If you have any feedback about this session, please shoot an email to us. And obviously, thank you so much for watching our session. Sansia, over to you.
Thank you so much, Hari, for that insightful presentation. We do have a couple of questions. The first one: what is the difference between Industry 4.0 and lean manufacturing? Okay, so as we have seen that, right, Industry 4.0 is about people, process, and technology. By leveraging the internet and advanced AI technologies such as IoT and AI technologies, how do we drive the transformation within the organization? How do we leverage these technologies to transform the organization? As part of that, get involved the people improvement and process improvement. So it's a triangle approach to do that. Lean manufacturing is more on, how do we, is more on process aspect of that. It's not defining any technology that usage. It's more on how we can align the internal, how we can identify and align the process improvement. So it's probably a subset of the Industry 4.0, where you when you are going to the process improvement area, you take a lean principles and then try to identify what is the minimum level of minimum process that I can follow to improve the overall efficiency of my system. So that's a subset of that. It is not equivalent to compare it. That's it. Any other question? Yeah, we have another one. Mm-hmm. Who are the ones doing Industry 4.0? So
when we started our journey, a couple of years back, if anybody asked this question, we would have said that in the past also, that top companies are doing it, like ABB, Tesla, Ford, and then top manufacturing companies, Intel and other people doing this process, Industry 4.0 transformation, to transform their internal organization process. But now in the year 2022, today, this is one of the common step that everyone is taking up. Even a smaller SMEs coming to us and talking about Industry 4.0 transformation. Oh, we wanted to digitalize our overall operational processes, and can we do that? Is it right for us to do that? So today, this become a broader spectrum. There are a lot of initiatives happening across global, across industry. Especially APAC is one of the largest region or bigger region that transform that actively looking out to transform into Industry 4.0, as the manufacturing sectors are clustered here. But to answer the question, everywhere it's talked about that. Many companies are doing it now. Many companies are in the pilot phase itself. Larger companies already achieved, like Tesla and all, already achieved, but the smaller companies are already in the process. Some of them are in 20% done, some of them are just 5%, some of them are just 50%, and many of them failed because they have not understand what is this means and how it should be approached. And that's one of the reasons why we have this session, because many times people are just taking it up, and because managing director or the head of the department saying that, oh, we should do that Industry 4.0. I hear that company is doing, this company doing, and they just jump into that, and then they fail, and then they go back to the tradition. So many companies are failing as well because they are not able to follow, they understand the deeper side of it, and then follow the process or the procedures or the methodology that we have defined as we have defined here. So it's happening across everywhere. Many failures, many success cases, and most of it, on average, everybody is in the middle of that realization.
What is the difference between Industry 4.0 and digital transformation? Is IIoT called Industry 4.0, or is it just part of the Industry 4.0?
So IIoT is part of Industry 4.0. It's not Industry 4.0, as I talked about in the initial stage. So IIoT is just one smaller portion of the Industry 4.0 transformation. So Industry 4.0 is a transformation, and it requires people, process, and technology. Technology portion only, the IIoT is playing a role to get connected. In terms of the difference from the digital transformation is a general word that mostly its approach is same. Both of them are transformation. The approach is same, but digital transformation generally applied to the non-industrial use cases, non-industrial companies like retail, banking, finance, and those areas. They applied it because they are all already in the process of digital. When they build the organization, when they are in the process, they adapted the process, because this is a consumer market that already in the digital transformation. Industrial side of the transformation is on the Industry 4.0 transformation, which is slightly different from the scope and objective aspect of that, but the vision and the driving factors are same.
Okay, the next question is, how can I use free cloud platform for learning in the beginning?
So you can use the free cloud platforms, but you need to see, it's not about learning, it's about taking and solving the problem, right? So before even you get into the learning part, just to understand what you want to solve it, you take anything that you are aware of, that you take this is what I wanted to solve that, and then identify that which cloud free software or free cloud software or any open source software that you want to use it to adapt it. Again, it's not a software, it's just a process. And so you need to understand what you want to solve, and clearly define what you need to follow to make that as the approach. Then go for the technology, so that you know that how to use this technology to solve the problem. So solving the problem is the primary objective, not the open source or the commercial tool or cloud tools. That's not the focus area should be.
Which companies in India have implemented Industry 4.0?
Okay, so there are many people quoting it, but I'm not sure because we have not they are not our customers, so I don't want to just talk about that. But I have seen that the companies like Ola Scooter, company like Milky Mist, and companies like actually Reliance also is working on this transformation, but I don't Reliance Petroleum is working on this transformation, but I'm not sure where the journey is. So there are companies who have done some level of maturity, but I don't have a comment on what level of maturity they are in. But definitely there is a lot of things are happening in India.
The next question is related to that. What is the level of maturity of Industry 4.0 in India, and how is the maturity level of Industry 4.0 measured?
So I think the biggest challenge for India industries are very traditional compared to Western European industries. We are very traditional, very manual, very authentic approach in terms of how the overall company operates. So definitely we are behind. I would say that many of the companies not even accomplish the maturity of Industry 3.0. The modern companies are doing it. The traditional the legacy the companies who are established like 30 years, 40 years, 50 years back, they are still following the same 30 years old approach. So on average, I would say that we are in between 3 to 4. I mean 3.0 to 4.0. And there are a lot of transformation has to be done in India manufacturing companies to compete with the global market.
And there's one last question. Can we say Industry 4.0 is part of DX? I'm not sure what that is.
Can you repeat the question?
Can we say Industry 4.0 is part of DX?
Oh, digital experience. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, it is part of the digital experience. So when you're talking about digital experience, see again, the digital experience is what is the value? What is that? Why we should do the digital experience, right? We need to ask that question first. What is the digital experience means to the industries? Digital experience will help in the consumer market because consumers are more they look for digital. They are in social media, they are in other platforms, they are all with the smartphones, they are all looking for everything in their hands. So they are all digital experiences. Consumer market is the right wording, right approach on that. But in the industrial cases, since the context is more on Industry 4.0 and we are talking about industry cases, so in the industrial cases, digital experience doesn't mean anything until it improves the organizational efficiency. So organizational efficiency is the overall goal and umbrella, and the digital experience is part of that. By giving a better experience to the people operating in the company, result in better operational excellence, and that better operational resulting in the better operational efficiency of the organization by default into the better company.
I think that's all, Hari. There's no more questions. So thank you so much, Hari, for answering all of those questions. I hope it was helpful for all of y'all who've asked. I think it's time to wind up the webinar. As always, we will be posting this recorded version of the webinar on the Factana YouTube channel. And those of you who still have questions can post in the comments section, and we will be more than happy to answer those. Also, those of you all who are seeking insights on IoT, IIoT, and smart manufacturing can please visit our blog page. You can access our blog page on www.fogwing.io/blog, and you can start exploring. Those of you who are looking for collaborations, you are welcome to email us on sales@factana.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.